I spent 16 hours saving lives in the ER during a mass casualty event on October 17, 2023, and when I finally dragged myself to the parking garage at 11:43 p.m., I found my pharmaceutical sales rep wife in an $80,000 Mercedes trying to run me over to protect the doctor she'd been sleeping with. The same doctor whose kickback scheme I'd accidentally discovered 3 weeks earlier, but ignored because I was too exhausted to process it. If you've got some time and maybe something to drink, settle in. This one's a ride. So why did I spend 3 weeks pretending I didn't know? Why did I let her think she was getting away with it? And why did a burnt-out ER nurse with a bleeding heart suddenly become the person who systematically dismantled 2 careers, destroyed a 6-figure lifestyle, and walked away without a shred of guilt? Because sometimes the people who spend their lives healing others finally realize they need to heal themselves, and sometimes that healing starts with burning everything down. This is the story of how my wife Lauren chose money and status over a marriage, how I caught her in the most humiliating way possible, and how I used the one thing I'm actually good at, meticulous documentation, to make sure she and her doctor boyfriend paid for every single lie. No kids got hurt, no one died, but 2 people who thought they were untouchable learned that security cameras don't lie, hospital ethics boards don't play, and a man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous kind of opponent. Let me take you back to when I still believed in us. I met Lauren at a hospital charity gala in October 2018. I was 33, she was 29, and I remember thinking she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in real life. She wore this emerald green dress that probably cost more than my rent, and when she laughed at something her colleague said, I heard it from across the room. I wasn't the type to approach women at fancy events. I was there because my hospital required ER staff to represent the frontline workers for donor photos. But my friend Rebecca, another ER nurse, literally pushed me toward Lauren's table. She keeps looking at you, Rebecca said. Go talk to her before I die of secondhand embarrassment watching you stare. So I walked over, introduced myself, and somehow convinced this pharmaceutical sales rep who drove a BMW and wore designer heels to have coffee with a guy whose scrubs still had mystery stains from his last shift. She told me later. She liked that I didn't try to impress her, that I was just honest about my life. You told me you'd been awake for 22 hours and might fall asleep in my latte, she laughed. How could I not give you a second date? We got married in April 2019. Small wedding, mostly her family's money paying for it, but I didn't care. I was in love. She was ambitious and driven in ways I wasn't. She had a career plan, financial goals, a 5-year vision board. I just wanted to be a good nurse and come home to someone who understood that some days I watched people die and needed to not talk about it. She seemed okay with that. She'd kiss my forehead when I came home at midnight smelling like hospital antiseptic and tell me she admired what I did. The first crack came about 6 months in. We were talking about finances, combining bank accounts, that kind of thing. She made about $70,000 a year then, and I made about $65,000 with shift differentials. She said something I should have paid more attention to. It's cute that you think nurse money matters when I'm about to hit 6 figures. I laughed it off. Thought she was joking, but there was this look in her eyes just for a second, like she'd said something true and was waiting to see if I'd call her on it. I didn't. Then March 2020 happened. COVID-19. If you worked healthcare during the pandemic, you know exactly what I'm about to say. If you didn't, let me paint you a picture. 16-hour shifts became normal. Watching people die over iPads because their families couldn't visit became routine. Wearing the same N95 mask for a week because we ran out became policy. I'd come home and strip in the garage because I was terrified of bringing the virus inside. Lauren would leave my dinner on the counter, covered in plastic wrap, and we'd eat in separate rooms. For about 6 weeks, she was understanding, worried even. She'd text me during my shifts asking if I was okay, sending me articles about nurse mental health, offering to bring me extra scrubs. But then her company pivoted to telehealth sales, and suddenly her numbers exploded. Doctors who couldn't see pharmaceutical reps in person were taking virtual meetings. And Lauren was good at virtual meetings. By June 2020, she'd made her six-figure dream. By December, she was at 120,000. That's when she bought the Mercedes without asking me. I came home from a particularly brutal shift. Lost two patients in the same hour, both under 50. And there was this gleaming white Mercedes SUV in our driveway. She was standing next to it, holding a glass of champagne, grinning. "Surprise," she said. "I hit my annual goal 3 months early. The company gives us a car allowance, and I figured why not?" I stared at it. This $80,000 car, we definitely hadn't discussed. "Babe, that's amazing," I managed. "But maybe we should have talked about it." We were saving for a down payment on a house. Her smile tightened. "David, I earned this. It's not coming out of our joint account. Why do you have to make everything complicated?" I was too tired to fight. I said congratulations, went inside, and took a shower that lasted 45 minutes because I needed to not exist for a while. Looking back now, that was the moment. That was when Lauren stopped seeing us as partners and started seeing me as dead weight. The pandemic years, 2020, 2021, 2022, they broke something in me. I don't know if you can understand unless you were there, but it's like my nervous system just gave up trying to regulate itself. I'd have panic attacks in the staff bathroom between trauma cases. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. from nightmares about intubating patients who looked like my mom. I stopped calling my friends back, stopped working out, stopped doing anything that wasn't work or sleep. Lauren noticed, but not in the way I needed. She'd make comments like, "You're so negative lately," or "Maybe you should just work at a clinic. Easier hours." She didn't understand that being an ER nurse wasn't just my job. It was my identity. It was the thing I was good at. And yeah, maybe I needed therapy, maybe I needed medication, maybe I needed a sabbatical. But what I really needed was for my wife to sit with me in the darkness and say, "I see you, I'm here." She was too busy climbing the corporate ladder to sit in the dark. In late 2021, I brought up kids. We'd always said we wanted them, maybe 2, and I was thinking having something to look forward to might help me find purpose again. We were sitting on the couch, rare moment where we were both home and awake, and I said, "Do you think we should start trying? I know it's not ideal timing with the pandemic, but we're both stable, and I just think it might be good to have something hopeful." Lauren didn't even look up from her phone. "Not during a pandemic, David. That's insane." Fair point, except she never brought it up again. Not in 2022 when things calmed down. Not ever. By early 2023, we were basically roommates who occasionally had obligatory sex. She was traveling for work constantly. Pharma conferences in Vegas, client dinners that went until midnight, weekend team-building retreats I was never invited to. Her phone was always face down on the table. She changed her passcode and told me it was because of company security requirements. I knew something was wrong, but I was so fucking tired. And part of me thought, maybe this is just what marriage looks like after the honeymoon phase ends. Maybe everyone feels like they're drowning and their partner is too busy to throw them a rope. The first real, tangible clue came in September 2023. I was covering a weekend shift. A 16-hour Saturday that turned into 18 because we had a major car accident come in at hour 15. I finally dragged myself to the staff break room around 10 p.m. And there on the counter was Lauren's travel coffee mug, the distinctive one she'd custom-made with her company logo and her initials. I picked it up, still warm. My brain did this weird thing where it couldn't process what I was seeing. Lauren didn't come to the hospital. She'd visited me at work exactly twice in our entire marriage. Once when we were dating, once right after we got married. She always said hospitals creeped her out, that the smell of antiseptic made her nauseous. I texted her, "Hey, did you stop by the hospital tonight?" Dots appeared immediately, then stopped, then appeared again. Her response, "Yeah, I dropped off some dinner for you, but you were busy. I left it in the break room." There was no dinner. I stared at that text for probably 5 minutes. Then I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Maybe she did leave dinner and someone else ate it. Hospital staff will eat anything not actively moving. When I got home at midnight, she was already asleep, or pretending to be. The next morning, I asked her about it. "Hey, thanks for trying to bring dinner last night. Sorry I missed you." She barely looked up from her tablet. "No worries, I figured you were slammed." "Where'd you leave it?" "The dinner. We're in the break room." A pause. Just half a second too long. "On the counter by the fridge. Someone probably grabbed it." The break room has 3 counters. She didn't specify which one because she was never there. I should have confronted her then. But I had another shift starting in 6 hours and I couldn't handle the fight. If you've ever ignored a red flag because you were too exhausted to deal with the consequences, you know exactly how that feels. September turned into October. Lauren started mentioning Dr. Bennett in conversation. Marcus says the new stent protocol is garbage. Marcus thinks the hospital board is cutting corners. Marcus recommended this restaurant. Marcus, Dr. Marcus Bennett, 42, recently divorced cardiothoracic surgeon, hospital leadership committee. I knew him vaguely. One of those doctors who's technically excellent but treats nurses like furniture. I Googled him one night when Lauren was in the shower. His hospital bio photo showed a generically handsome guy with silver-streaked hair and one of those smiles that rich people seem to have naturally. His divorce had been finalized 6 months ago. I told myself it meant nothing. Lauren had to build relationships with doctors. That was literally her job. But then I noticed her calendar. We shared a Google Calendar for years, color-coded, organized, the kind of thing that made our lives run smoothly when we were both working crazy hours. In early October, new entries started appearing. MB dinner. Every Tuesday and Thursday, MB Marcus Bennett. I checked our shared credit card statement. $400 dinners at the Bancroft, Mastro's Kai, restaurants I'd never been to. Restaurants that required reservations weeks in advance. My hands were shaking when I closed the browser. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't confront her. Instead, I did what I do best. I started documenting. Nurses are obsessive documenters. We have to be. Every medication, every vital sign, every patient complaint. It all goes in the chart with timestamps. Cover your ass or die in court. It's drilled into us from day one. So I opened a note in my phone called Observations and started tracking everything. Every late-night client dinner. Every time she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. Every time she snapped at me for asking basic questions about her day. October 11th. I was charting at the nursing station when Rebecca sat down next to me, eating a sad-looking turkey sandwich from the cafeteria. "Hey, random question," she said. "You know Dr. Bennett, right?" My stomach dropped. "The heart surgeon? Yeah, why?" "I saw him at that hospital fundraiser last weekend. He was getting real cozy with some pharma rep. Blonde, expensive looking, drove a white Mercedes." The world tilted. "Probably just networking," I heard myself say. Rebecca gave me this look. She'd been a nurse for 20 years. She'd seen everything. "Dave, I'm not trying to start shit," but she was wearing his jacket. It was cold outside and she had his suit jacket around her shoulders. I managed to nod. Managed to say something about needing to check on a patient. Managed to walk to the supply closet before my hands started shaking so badly I had to grip the shelf to stay upright. I went home that night and Lauren was in the bathtub, drinking wine, scrolling through her phone. She'd locked the bathroom door. "Hey, babe," I called through it. "How was your day?" "Exhausting. 3 meetings and a client crisis. I'm dead. Want to order dinner. We could watch something. I already ate. You should order something for yourself." I stood outside that locked door for probably 2 minutes, listening to her laugh at something on her phone, and I realized I didn't know this person anymore. October 14th. I was shadowing in the cardiology unit. We rotated through different departments occasionally for training, and I overheard Dr. Bennett on his phone in the break room. He didn't know I was in the adjacent office. "Tell Lauren the commission came through. She's earned it." I froze. Lauren's pharmaceutical company didn't pay commissions on individual doctor relationships. It was unethical, borderline illegal depending on the arrangement. I waited until he left. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I accessed the hospital's prescription database. Nurses have limited access for patient care purposes, but if you know what you're looking for, you can pull reports. Dr. Bennett had prescribed Lauren's company's cardiac stent, the expensive one, in 98% of his cases over the past 6 months. The hospital formulary listed 3 approved alternatives, all cheaper. Bennett wasn't just prescribing Lauren's product, he was exclusively prescribing it. That's when I realized this wasn't just an affair. This was insurance fraud, kickbacks, the kind of thing that gets doctors' licenses suspended and pharmaceutical reps fired. And suddenly, I had leverage. I spent October 15th and 16th in this weird fugue state, going through the motions at work, smiling when people asked if I was okay, coming home to a wife who barely acknowledged my existence. At night when she was asleep, or pretending to be, I'd take screenshots of everything: prescription records, calendar entries, credit card statements. I created a folder on my phone labeled Evidence, like I was building a legal case. Because I was. October 16th, I told Lauren I'd be working a double on the 17th. Mass casualty drill plus a full shift. I'll probably be there until 2 a.m. She didn't even look up. "Okay, I'll probably be asleep when you get home. You working tomorrow?" "Client breakfast in the morning." I checked her calendar after she left for work. No breakfast scheduled. I barely slept that night. I kept running scenarios. What would I do if I was wrong? What would I do if I was right? By 6 a.m., I'd convinced myself I was paranoid, that I was manufacturing a crisis, because I was burnt out and miserable and looking for someone to blame. By 7 a.m., I knew I wasn't wrong. October 17th, 2023, the day that ended my marriage and started something else entirely. My shift started at 3 p.m., just a regular Tuesday in the ER until about 6 p.m. when we got the call. Multi-car pileup on I-10, 12 vehicles, multiple critical patients incoming. All hands on deck. The next 5 hours were chaos. Intubations, blood transfusions, rapid sequence inductions, calling surgeons, coordinating with trauma teams. I was running on pure adrenaline and muscle memory. This is what I'm good at. When everything's falling apart, I'm the person who stays calm and fixes it. By 11 p.m., we'd stabilized everyone we could save. Lost 2 patients, both from internal bleeding we couldn't stop fast enough. I did the thing I always do after losing patients. Went to the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror, and reminded myself I did everything possible. Then I went back out and finished my charting. I should have gone home, should have clocked out, driven my beat-up Honda Civic back to my quiet house, and collapsed into bed. Instead, at 11:30 p.m., I decided to check if Dr. Bennett was on call. His name was on the schedule. Physician on-call room assignments were posted. He was in room 3. I don't know what possessed me to walk down that hallway. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was self-destruction. Maybe I just needed to know. The door to room 3 was slightly open. Just a crack. Enough to hear Lauren's laugh. That specific laugh she used to do in our first year of dating, when everything was easy and light. I pushed the door open. The room was empty, but unmistakably occupied. Lauren's designer purse, the black one that cost 2 months of my salary, was on the chair. Her coffee tumbler sat on the desk. Dr. Bennett's hospital badge and his half-full coffee cup were right next to it, still warm. The blanket on the cot was rumpled. And then the bathroom door opened. Lauren came out first, wearing her blouse but still buttoning it. Her skirt was wrinkled. She saw me and her face went white. Dr. Bennett appeared behind her, tucking in his shirt, and had the audacity to look annoyed. "David," Lauren breathed. "Just my name. like a question and a statement and a plea all at once. I stood there, and the weirdest thing happened. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel hurt. I felt this eerie, cold calm, like my brain had shifted into triage mode. Assess the situation, determine the severity, decide on treatment. How long? My voice sounded normal, almost friendly. Lauren's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Dr. Bennett stepped forward, actually putting himself between Lauren and me like I was the threat. "This doesn't have to be complicated, David. We're all adults here." I laughed. I actually laughed. "You're right. It's not complicated. I'm done." "David, wait!" Lauren grabbed my arm. "We can talk about this. You're never home, and I spent 16 hours saving lives today. You spent it fucking a guy who's stealing from patients." I pulled my arm free. "Don't call me. Don't come home. We're done." I walked out. Didn't run. Just walked at a normal pace, like I was heading to check on a patient. Down the hallway, to the elevator. Down 3 levels to the parking garage. Level 3, row E. That's where I always parked. As far from the entrance as possible, because I didn't mind the walk. I was halfway to my car when I heard running footsteps behind me. Lauren. "David! David, stop!" I kept walking. Heard Dr. Bennett's voice too, further back. "Lauren, don't! We need to talk about this!" She was crying now, which was something. I'd seen Lauren cry exactly 3 times in 5 years. "You can't just leave like this. We can fix this." I reached my car, clicked the unlock button, opened the door. That's when I heard the engine. Lauren's Mercedes. She must have parked it in one of the physician spots nearby, probably illegally. The white SUV reversed fast, tires squealing on the concrete. What happened next took maybe 5 seconds but felt like forever. She accelerated toward me. I genuinely don't know if she meant to hit me or just scare me, or if she panicked and her foot slipped. But that 2-ton vehicle was coming straight at me. I dove between my car and the truck next to it. Felt the Mercedes clip my shin. Nothing broken, just a scrape and a bruise, but I went down hard on the concrete. The Mercedes stopped, engine still running. I could see Lauren through the windshield, hands over her mouth, eyes wide. Dr. Bennett was yelling something. "Just go! Just go!" She went. I lay there on the cold concrete of the parking garage, staring up at the security camera mounted on the ceiling. The little red light blinked steadily, recording, and I thought, do no harm. That's the oath. First, do no harm, but what do you do when harm's already been done? When the people who are supposed to care for others, a doctor, a partner, have decided their comfort matters more than anyone else's pain? What do you do when you've been trying so hard not to harm anyone that you forgot to protect yourself? Hospital security showed up maybe 3 minutes later. Someone had heard the tire squealing and called it in. Sir, are you okay?" I sat up slowly. My shin was bleeding through my scrubs, but it wasn't serious. "I'm fine, but I need a copy of the security footage for a police report." The guard, older guy, maybe 60, I'd seen him around, looked confused. "What happened?" "My wife just tried to run me over." His eyes went wide. "Jesus Christ. Let's get you checked out and—" "I'm an ER nurse. I'm fine. I just need the footage." He helped me up. We went to the security office. He pulled up the footage and we watched it 3 times. Clear as day. Lauren's Mercedes accelerating toward me diving out of the way, the vehicle clipping me, stopping, then driving away. "I'll need this for a police report," I said again. "Absolutely. I'll get you a copy. You should. Do you need me to call someone?" "No, I'll handle it." I refused the ambulance, cleaned up my shin in the ER bathroom. The bitter irony of treating myself after the worst day of my life wasn't lost on me. Then I drove home. Lauren wasn't there. All the lights were off. I sat in our living room until the sun came up, staring at the wall, feeling absolutely nothing. My phone buzzed continuously. Texts from Lauren. 47 of them by the time I finally looked. David, please. We need to talk. I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I panicked. Please don't do anything rash. I love you. Can we please just talk? I blocked her number. Then I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Then I opened my laptop and started planning. Because here's what I realized sitting in that dark living room. I'd spent 6 years trying to save my marriage to someone who'd already left. I'd spent months ignoring red flags because I was too tired to fight. I'd let myself become so small and so quiet that Lauren thought she could do whatever she wanted with no consequences. I was done being small. I was done being quiet. And if I was going down, I was taking them with me. The first 48 hours after October 17th were mechanical. I moved through the world like I was following a protocol. Step 1, document everything. Step 2, secure your assets. Step 3, build your case. October 18th, I called a divorce attorney. Found one through a nurse colleague who'd been through a nasty split. First consultation was free. I showed her the security footage, the text messages, the calendar entries, the credit card statements. She watched the parking garage video twice. This is attempted assault. Have you filed a police report? Not yet. Do it today, like right now. This isn't just infidelity. This is criminal. So I drove to the police station and filed a report. The detective, tired-looking woman in her 50s named Sarah Torres, took my statement and watched the footage. Jesus, she muttered. This is pretty clear. We'll contact her for a statement. Are you pressing charges? Yes. Okay, I'll be in touch. In the meantime, document everything, and maybe stay with family or friends for a few days. I didn't stay with anyone. I went home, changed the locks. Legally gray area, but Lauren was technically trespassing if she showed up uninvited at that point. And opened a separate bank account. Transferred exactly half of our savings. $23,000, not everything, just what was legally mine. Then I compiled the evidence of Dr. Bennett's kickback scheme. It took me 2 days to organize it properly. Prescription records with patient identifiers removed. HIPAA compliance, matters even in revenge. 6 months of credit card charges showing expensive dinners on nights Lauren claimed to be at group events. Calendar entries showing MB dinner aligned with Bennett's on-call schedule. And the smoking gun, a spreadsheet I'd created tracking Bennett's prescriptions versus hospital formulary recommendations. 98% Lauren's company. 2% alternatives, probably when he forgot to stack the deck. October 20th, I called 3 places. First, the hospital's compliance hotline, anonymous whistleblower report. Gave them Dr. Bennett's name, the patient data, the pattern. Told them to check his financial disclosures for pharmaceutical relationships. Second, Lauren's pharmaceutical company's ethics department, same information, added that I had evidence of inappropriate commission structures and off-label promotion. Third, the Arizona Medical Board, formal complaint. Not anonymous this time. I put my name on it, attached everything. Then I waited. Lauren was calling from different numbers, leaving voicemails. David, please, we can fix this. I made a mistake. Don't throw away 6 years. We can go to counseling, please. I listened to every voicemail once, then deleted them. My friend Rebecca came over October 21st with Thai food and a bottle of whiskey. You look like shit, she said, which was peak Rebecca. Thanks. I feel like shit. So what's the plan? And don't tell me you don't have a plan because I know you. I told her everything. The affair, the kickback scheme, the police report, the complaints I'd filed. She was quiet for a long time. Then, holy shit, Dave. Too much. No, not enough. Fuck 'em both. She poured us each a shot. To scorched earth. To scorched earth. We drank. Then she asked the question I'd been avoiding. How are you actually doing? And I broke. Just completely fell apart. Sobbed into my Thai food like a disaster of a human while Rebecca sat there and didn't try to fix it. Just let me feel it. I'm so tired. I finally managed. I'm so fucking tired of trying and it not mattering, of being good and it not mattering. Being good always matters, Rebecca said, but being good doesn't mean letting people destroy you. That became my mantra. Being good doesn't mean letting people destroy you. October 23rd through October 26th, I built the rest of my case, organized every piece of evidence into folders, made copies, stored everything in 3 places, my phone, my laptop, and a cloud backup. I also did something I should have done years ago. I started therapy. Called a counselor my hospital had on staff for employees. Dr. Sarah Chen, 50-something, kind eyes, no-nonsense voice. First session, she asked me why I was there. My wife cheated on me with a doctor who's committing insurance fraud. She tried to run me over when I caught them. I filed a bunch of ethics complaints, and I'm waiting for everything to explode, and I think I might have PTSD from working the pandemic, so you know. Normal Tuesday. Dr. Chen didn't even blink. Let's start with, how are you sleeping? I'm not. Eating? When I remember. Suicidal thoughts? No. Honestly, I'm more worried I don't feel anything, like I'm just numb. That's shock. Your nervous system is protecting you from processing everything at once. It's normal, but we need to make sure you're functioning. She leaned forward. David, what you're describing, the burnout, the betrayal, the violation of trust, these are significant traumas. You're allowed to fall apart. I don't have time to fall apart. I have complaints pending and a divorce to finalize and you're a human being who needs to grieve. The practical stuff matters. But so does this. She tapped her chest. Promise me you'll come back next week. I promised. The dominoes started falling, November 1st. I was at work, back to regular shifts because sitting at home was making me crazier. When my phone buzzed, unknown number, I almost didn't answer. David, this is Jennifer Marks, Hospital Compliance. I need to speak with you about a report filed on October 20th. My heart rate spiked. Okay. Can you come to my office? Today, if possible. I'm off shift at 7 p.m. That works. See you then. I spent the next 6 hours in a fog. Took care of patients, charted, made small talk with colleagues, but my brain was spinning. Had I gone too far? Was I about to get fired for accessing prescription records? At 7:15 p.m., I sat in Jennifer's office. She was early 50s, gray-haired, the kind of person who'd seen every bullshit scheme hospital staff tried to pull. David, thank you for coming. I want to be clear, you're not in trouble, but I need to ask you some questions about Dr. Marcus Bennett. Relief and anxiety fought for dominance in my chest. Okay. You filed an anonymous complaint about potential kickback arrangements, but you also filed a formal complaint with your name attached to the medical board. So let's just operate on the assumption I know it was you. She slid a folder across the desk. Can you walk me through how you obtained this information? I explained. The overheard phone call, the prescription database I had legitimate access to as a nurse, the pattern I noticed. I didn't mention Lauren, didn't mention the affair, just stuck to the professional violations. Jennifer nodded slowly. We've been reviewing Dr. Bennett's cases. The pattern is compelling. We're launching a formal investigation. He's been placed on administrative leave as of this afternoon. Okay. I need to ask, what's your relationship with Dr. Bennett? Here's where I made a choice. I could have lied, could have said we were just colleagues, but I was so tired of lying. My wife was having an affair with him. She's a pharmaceutical sales rep for the company whose products he prescribes. I discovered the affair on October 17th. That's when I noticed the pattern. Jennifer's expression didn't change. I see. And your wife is? Lauren Hayes. Well, Lauren Wilson now, I guess, since we're divorcing. Does she know you filed these complaints? No. She knows I caught them. She doesn't know about the rest yet. Jennifer leaned back in her chair. David, I appreciate your honesty. For the record, nothing you've done violates hospital policy. You had legitimate access to the information and a valid reason to report it. What Dr. Bennett did, if our investigation confirms it, is serious. We're talking license suspension, possibly criminal charges depending on what else we find. Good, she studied me. How are you doing? Actually doing. I've been better. I imagine so. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Patients deserve better than doctors who put profit over care. I left that meeting feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Vindication. November 6th. Lauren's pharmaceutical company called. Different person, same conversation. They'd launched an internal investigation, reviewed her expense reports, found discrepancies, group dinners that were clearly intimate meals with one person, company resources used for personal benefits. Lauren was placed on administrative leave, pending investigation. She texted me from yet another new number. David, what did you do? I didn't respond. November 9th. Detective Torres called. We've been trying to reach Lauren Wilson for a statement. She's lawyered up. Her attorney is arguing she panicked, didn't intend to harm you. The DA is reviewing the case. Honestly, with the video evidence, we're looking at misdemeanor reckless endangerment, not felony assault. I know that's not what you wanted to hear. Will she face charges? Yes, probably, but it'll be a plea deal. Anger management, community service, probation. That's fine, I just want it on record. Because here's the thing. I didn't need Lauren in jail. I needed her life to implode the way mine had. And it was imploding beautifully. November 12th. Lauren's attorney fees, $15,000. Her savings, nearly empty because she'd been spending money like she'd always have her six-figure job. Her parents called me. Her dad specifically. Nice guy. Always liked him. David, I don't know what to say. We just found out about everything. Lauren's a mess. She's staying with us for now. Okay. She says you filed complaints with her company and the hospital. Is that true? Yes. Silence. Then, did she really cheat on you? Yes. With a doctor who was taking illegal kickbacks from her company. More silence. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry, David. We raised her better than this. It's not your fault, Jim. Still, if you need anything, character witness, whatever, you let me know. What she did was inexcusable. That phone call mattered more than I expected it to. Lauren's own father taking my side felt like cosmic justice. November 15th was the Arizona Medical Board hearing. I didn't attend, couldn't stomach seeing Dr. Bennett or Lauren. But my written testimony was presented. So was the evidence. Prescription patterns, financial records. They'd subpoenaed his bank accounts and found cash deposits corresponding to Lauren's commission payments. The outcome, 6-month license suspension, mandatory ethics training, $50,000 fine, and a permanent mark on his record that would follow him forever. Local news picked it up. Small article, page 3 of the Arizona Republic. Phoenix surgeon suspended for ethics violations. Not front-page drama, but enough that anyone Googling Dr. Marcus Bennett would find it. His ex-wife filed for modification of custody. Used the ethics violation as evidence of moral turpitude. He went from seeing his kids every other week to supervised visitation once a month. Lauren lost her company car. Had to return the Mercedes. I found out through Rebecca, who'd somehow heard through the hospital grapevine. Lauren was apparently driving a rental sedan and living in a budget apartment complex. From 6 figures and a luxury SUV to fighting for retail management jobs in 6 weeks. November 20th. I saw her at a grocery store. Total accident. I was buying frozen dinners and coffee, and there she was in the produce section. She looked different, thinner, no makeup, her hair in a messy ponytail. wearing Target athleisure instead of designer everything. She saw me before I could retreat. Froze, holding a bag of apples. I should have walked away. Should have just turned around and left. But I didn't. "Hi," I said. "Hi." Her voice was small. We stood there for a moment. The fluorescent lights hummed. A kid screamed somewhere in the cereal aisle. "How are you?" she asked, which was possibly the stupidest question. "I've been better. I'm sorry for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. Okay. Did you file all those complaints?" "Yes," she nodded slowly. "I lost my job. Marcus lost his license for 6 months. His ex-wife is getting full custody of his kids. I'm living with my parents at 34 years old. So I guess you got what you wanted." Something in me snapped. What I wanted was a wife who didn't cheat on me. What I wanted was to come home after 16-hour shifts and not feel like an inconvenience. What I wanted was for you to care about me half as much as you cared about your commission checks. I did care. You tried to run me over, Lauren. She flinched. I panicked. I wasn't thinking clearly. You panicked because you got caught. You weren't thinking clearly because you were more worried about protecting your affair than about whether you just killed your husband. Her eyes filled with tears. I know I fucked up, but did I deserve to lose everything? And there it was, the question I'd been asking myself in therapy. The question that woke me up at 3 a.m. Did she deserve to lose everything? You and Marcus hurt people, I said quietly. Not just me. Patients. People who trusted him to make medical decisions based on their best interests, not his bank account. You enabled that. You profited from it. So yeah, Lauren, you deserved consequences. Consequences, not destruction. You destroyed us first. I just made sure everyone knew about it. I left her standing there. Got in my car, drove to therapy. Dr. Chen asked me how I felt. Hollow, I admitted. I thought I'd feel triumphant or justified or something. But I just feel empty. That's normal. Revenge doesn't heal you, David. It's cathartic, sure. But it doesn't actually fix what's broken inside. So what does? This. Showing up here. Letting yourself feel the anger and the grief and the betrayal. Building a life that doesn't revolve around what they did to you. She was right. But knowing it and doing it were different things. December 2023 was hard. I was back at work full-time, but every shift felt like I was moving through water. Colleagues knew something had happened. Hospital gossip spreads faster than sepsis, but most people were kind enough not to ask directly. Some avoided me. Others were overly friendly in that pitying way that made me want to scream. Rebecca was the only one who treated me normally. She'd plop down next to me at the nursing station and say things like, "That trauma in Bay 4 is a nightmare. Also, you look like shit. Want to get drunk after shift?" We got drunk a lot that month. Dr. Bennett returned to work briefly in early December. Technically, he could still do non-clinical work, but left after a week. Too uncomfortable. Too many people whispering. He took a position at some small rural clinic in New Mexico. Probably the only place that would hire him. Lauren's life was spiraling. I heard through the grapevine that she'd been terminated from her company, officially separated due to policy violations. No severance, no references. The pharmaceutical industry is small and word travels. No one would touch her. Her LinkedIn changed to open to opportunities, then taking a break to reassess priorities, then disappeared entirely. I should have felt satisfied. I should have felt like justice was served. Instead, I felt like I was drowning. December 18th, I went to a coffee shop near the hospital. Not my usual place. I was avoiding anywhere Lauren might be, but I needed caffeine before a night shift. She was there, sitting alone at a corner table, staring at a laptop. No fancy tablet, no designer purse, just a battered laptop and a regular coffee in a paper cup. She saw me, stood up before I could leave, walked over. "David, Please, just 5 minutes. I should have said no, should have walked out. But I was so tired of running. Fine, 5 minutes. We sat at a table by the window. Outside, Phoenix was doing its winter thing. 60 degrees and sunny, tourists everywhere, everyone pretending the desert was habitable. "I'm sorry," she said again. "I know I've said it before. I know it's not enough. But I need you to know I am genuinely, devastatingly sorry. Okay, I lost everything. My job, my apartment, I'm in therapy now, real therapy, not just court-ordered anger management, and I'm starting to understand how much I fucked up." I waited. "I was chasing this idea of success," she continued. "The money, the car, the status. And I convinced myself that you didn't care, that you were fine just being a nurse forever, that you didn't have ambition. But that wasn't true. You had ambition for different things. You wanted to help people. You wanted a family. You wanted us. And I threw it away for a career that meant nothing and a man who dumped me the second things got complicated." "Marcus dumped you," she laughed bitterly. "Oh yeah, the week after his license got suspended. Said he couldn't handle the stress of our relationship. I was useful when I was making him money. The second I couldn't, I was disposable." I didn't feel sorry for her, but I didn't feel satisfied either. Just sad. "David, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking for us to get back together. I just need to know, did I deserve all of this? Losing my job, my reputation, everything I worked for. Did the punishment fit the crime?" And there it was, the moral conflict I'd been wrestling with for weeks. "You tried to run me over," I said slowly. "That's not hyperbole. That's not me exaggerating. You got in your $80,000 car, and you accelerated toward me in a parking garage. Whether you meant to hit me or just scare me, I don't know. But you did it. And if I hadn't moved fast enough, we'd be having a very different conversation. Or no conversation at all." She was crying now, silent tears running down her face. "You and Marcus hurt people," I continued. "Maybe not directly. Maybe the patients whose insurance paid extra for his overpriced stents never knew. But that's how corruption works. It's invisible until someone shines a light on it. I didn't destroy you, Lauren. I just stopped protecting you. There's a difference." "Is there?" she whispered. "Yes, because I didn't lie. I didn't frame you. I didn't fabricate evidence. I just reported what actually happened. If the truth destroyed your life, that's because your life was built on lies." She nodded slowly, wiped her eyes. "For what it's worth, I hope you're happy. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I hope you get everything I couldn't give you." She left. I sat there for an hour, staring at my cold coffee, feeling like I'd just won and lost at the same time. That night in therapy, I told Dr. Chen about the coffee shop. "Do you think you went too far?" she asked. "I don't know, maybe. Let me ask it differently. Do you think she suffered proportionally to the harm she caused?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "She committed insurance fraud," I finally said. "She endangered patients. She violated her professional ethics. And she tried to assault me. Those aren't things you do and walk away from without consequences. But I could have just filed for divorce. I could have walked away and let karma do its thing. Instead, I systematically dismantled her life. And, yeah, part of me thinks she deserved it. But another part of me wonders if I did it for justice, or if I did it because I wanted her to hurt as much as I did." Dr. Chen nodded. "That's a good question to sit with. Because here's the truth, David. Your actions can be justified and still come from a place of pain. You can be right and still need to heal. The revenge might have been proportional, but it didn't fix what's broken in you. So what do I do now? You rebuild, not in opposition to her, not in spite of what happened. Just rebuild, because you deserve a good life." That became my new project, not revenge. Rebuilding. I started small. January 2024. I finally dealt with my pandemic PTSD. Talked to Dr. Chen about the nightmares, the hypervigilance, the way I'd jump at sudden loud noises. We did EMDR therapy, this weird thing where you follow lights with your eyes while processing trauma. It sounds like bullshit, but it helped. February, I reconnected with old friends. People I'd ghosted during the worst of my marriage because I was too exhausted or too embarrassed. Most of them were understanding. Some weren't. I accepted that. March, I made a big decision. I applied for a trauma educator position at the hospital. Less direct patient care, more teaching new nurses, better hours, less physical toll, still meaningful. I got the job. April, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went hiking. Phoenix has incredible trails if you're willing to wake up early and avoid the midday heat. I started with easy ones, Echo Canyon, Papago Park. Just me, a water bottle, and my thoughts. One Saturday morning in late April, I joined a hiking meetup group. Figured I needed to meet people outside the hospital. That's where I met Jessica. She was a teacher, 34, recently divorced. Hiking with the group because she was trying to be less of a hermit. We ended up walking together, not intentionally, just fell into step. First time with the group, she asked. Yeah, you. Third time. Fair warning. There's a guy named Brad who will not shut up about his marathon training. Avoid him unless you want an hour-long lecture about carb loading. I laughed. Actual laughter. First time in months. We talked about nothing important. Favorite trails, worst sunburns. Whether Camelback Mountain was overrated. She said yes, I said no. At the end of the hike, she asked if I wanted to get coffee sometime. Just coffee, she clarified. Not a date, unless you want it to be a date. But also totally fine if you just want to be hiking buddies who occasionally complain about life over caffeine. Coffee sounds good, I said. Not a date coffee. Maybe later we'll upgrade to date coffee. Deal! We got coffee 3 times before it became an official date. She told me about her divorce. Her ex-husband had a gambling problem, lost their savings, refused therapy. She'd left with nothing but debt and trust issues. I told her about Lauren, the affair, the parking garage, the systematic destruction of 2 careers. She was quiet for a long time. Then, so you're telling me you're a scorched earth kind of guy? Is that bad? No, it's actually kind of hot. But also, are you done scorching earth? Because I'm not trying to date someone who's still burning down their ex's life. I'm done, I promise. I'm in the rebuilding phase now. Good. Because I like you, David. But I need you to be here, not stuck in the past. I'm here, I said. And I meant it. June 2024. Jessica and I had been dating for 2 months, taking it slow. No sleepovers yet, no I love yous, just dinners and movies and hikes and conversations that lasted until midnight. She made me laugh. She challenged me. She called me out when I got too in my head. And she understood burnout in a way Lauren never did. Teachers and nurses, we're both caregivers. We both give everything to people who often don't appreciate it. We both struggle with boundaries. You can't pour from an empty cup, Jessica said one night over tacos. That's what my therapist always says, and I used to think it was bullshit self-help nonsense. But it's true. You spent years pouring yourself into your job and your marriage, and no one was filling you back up. Is that what you're doing? Filling my cup? She smiled. I'm doing my best. But mostly, I think you're learning to fill your own cup. I'm just here for moral support and bad jokes. Your jokes aren't that bad. You're sweet. They're terrible. July 2024. I returned to the hospital parking garage for the first time as a visitor. I was teaching a trauma workshop, and the closest parking was, of course, level 3, row E. I sat in my car for 5 minutes before getting out. Stared at the spot where it happened. The concrete looked the same. The camera was still blinking red, but I didn't feel panic, didn't feel rage, just acknowledgement. This is where it happened. This is where my marriage ended. This is where I decided to stop being a victim. I got out of the car, Walked past the spot, didn't look back. October 17th, 2024. Exactly 1 year after the worst day of my life. I was having dinner with Jessica at a hole-in-the-wall taco place we'd discovered. She knew what day it was. I'd told her the full story weeks ago. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Okay, actually. It's weird. A year ago, I thought my life was over. Turns out it was just ending a chapter." Profound. "Did you steal that from a Hallmark card?" "Probably." We laughed. Then she got serious. "David, can I ask you something? Do you regret it? What you did to Lauren and Marcus?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I finally said. "I don't regret holding them accountable. They hurt people. They needed to face consequences. But I do regret how much energy I spent on revenge instead of healing. I wasted months obsessing over their suffering when I should have been rebuilding my own life." "But you are rebuilding now." "Yeah, thanks to therapy and hiking and you. And tacos, don't forget the tacos. And tacos." She reached across the table, took my hand. "I'm proud of you, for surviving, for not letting it destroy you." "I'm not sure I didn't let it destroy me a little bit." "Maybe, but you're building something new from the ashes. That counts." Later that night, I drove past the hospital. Saw the parking garage, level 3, row E. I could see the camera from the street, still blinking red. Do no harm, that's still my rule. But I also learned something this year. Do no harm to yourself. Lauren tried to run me over. Marcus tried to profit off patients. They both tried to get away with it. They failed, and I'm free. I heard through the grapevine that Lauren remarried. Some guy she met in a therapy group. They moved to Nevada. She's working retail management now, making maybe $40,000 a year, driving a used Honda. Marcus is at a clinic in rural New Mexico, making a fraction of what he used to. His kids see him once a month supervised. His ex-wife got remarried too, to a guy who actually shows up for his family. And me. I'm teaching trauma nursing, dating a woman who makes me laugh, hiking every weekend, sleeping through the night, going to therapy once a month for maintenance. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm harder in some ways, more careful about who I trust, less willing to sacrifice myself for people who don't value me. But I'm also lighter, freer, not weighed down by a marriage that was drowning me. Some people might say I went too far, that I should have just divorced Lauren and moved on. That revenge is toxic and beneath me. Maybe they're right. But I think about those patients who got stents they didn't need because Marcus wanted a kickback. I think about the hospital resources wasted because Lauren was cooking expense reports. I think about how long they would have kept doing it if I hadn't said something. And I think about myself. About 6 years of being small and quiet and convenient. 6 years of coming home to someone who saw me as an obstacle to her success instead of a partner. I'm not sorry I blew it all up. Because sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and for the world, is to make sure people face the consequences of their choices. Do no harm, but do no harm to yourself either. That's the lesson, and that's how a burnt-out ER nurse with a bleeding heart learned to stop saving everyone and start saving himself. Jessica texted me while I was driving home from the hospital tonight. "Taco place tomorrow," I smiled. "Yeah," I texted back at a red light. Taco place. Some endings are just beginnings in disguise, and I'm just getting started.